It's getting more difficult to create website retargeting audiences than it has been in the past. There have been a lot of changes to different privacy rules, making it difficult for third-party cookies to track users from the ad platform onto your website and then back into the ad platform for retargeting. And second, a lot of the social media platforms are designed to keep users on that platform. They don't want them to leave because they don't get as much ad revenue when they leave. The good news is that a lot of the different engagement actions that people can take on social media can be retargeted through different audiences provided by the platforms. And LinkedIn is one such platform. They have a number of different ways that you can retarget your users based on how they engage with your brand on the platform, even a recently released single image ad engagement audience. So today I want to run through all of the different types of engagement retargeting on LinkedIn and talk about some examples where you might use them in your account. The easiest way to highlight each of the engagement retargeting audiences on LinkedIn is going to be to just walk through the setup of each of them and talk about the different settings and how that can impact the usage that you have out of that audience. So to create audiences in LinkedIn, we need to go up to Account Assets and down to Matched Audiences. Since we're in our placeholder account, we don't really have much to run with, but we're going to start to create brand new audiences. So for that, we just need to come to Create Audience. And here you can see the different types of retargeting audiences available on LinkedIn. First is to upload a list where you can upload companies or contacts to retarget later. That is not an engagement style list, but if you're interested in setting these up, we do have a video that talks you through that from start to finish. Instead, we're going to focus in this retarget by section down here. We're going to focus on everything from company page down to video. Websites are not going to be part of this video because that is not an on LinkedIn platform engagement that we want to try to capitalize on. I'm not going to get too incredibly fancy with this, so we're just going to go down the list from start to finish. So we're starting off with company page. For this engagement type, you get to create an audience of people who have interacted with your company page. This company page is going to be called out down here, and for this example, it's Joe's Milwaukee PPC account. But for whatever account you are in, this should be the page that is associated with your client or your company's account. If you see something different showing up here, you're going to need to fix that first. The first thing you get to do is to give your audience a name. You have 200 characters for that, and I'm not going to worry about that for this audience, or quite frankly, any of the other audiences I go through in this video. But for each of them, you should get about 200 characters. Next, we get to decide how did the user engage with your organization page. And you have two options for this. You can either choose people who visited your organization page or people who clicked a call to action button in the header of your LinkedIn page. Obviously, the first one is pretty self-explanatory. It's just anyone who has visited your company page. And you can see down below under Joe's name, it shows 10 unique visitors. So it would say that there were about 10 people in that audience. But the audience type that might not be as obvious is going to be the second one, people who clicked a call to action button in the header of your LinkedIn page. So to show you what that means, I'm going to go to Joe's LinkedIn page and show you what those calls to action would be. I had to switch my view back to viewing this page as a member because I am an admin. So if you don't see this blue bar up at the top of your page, that's not a problem. But the calls to action that show up in the header section are going to be these three buttons. So it's going to be follow, visit the website, or any of the other options that are available. I do believe that you can customize these different buttons up at the top, but those are effectively the calls to action that LinkedIn is talking about in that audience creator that we were looking at. And speaking of, we're now back in the audience creation step. The last piece you have to customize the company page engagement audience is how long ago since they've engaged last. It's going to default you to the past 90 days, but you can have the list be as short as the past 30 days or as long as the last 365 days, depending on the type of intent you're trying to derive from creating this audience. Once you have those different things set up, all you need to do is click Agree and Create. You can see down here that it can take 48 hours, but on rare occasion, it'll take longer for your audience to process and deliver. So just know that once you create this audience, you're probably going to have to wait a couple days before it will actively start serving in your campaigns. The next audience type we can create is going to be from an event on LinkedIn. This one is relatively straightforward, and the only problem is we don't have any events with this page. You'll just have to bear with me on this one. Once you've named your audience, you can see the only engagement type available are people who mark themselves as attending the event. So you'll only create the audience of people who are actually attending this specific event. I'm not going to go through the entire setup of an event on LinkedIn. Joe has actually already put together a video about that, and you can check that out at the top of the screen right now to show you all the different steps associated with that. But for now, just know that depending on whatever events you have running, you can create an audience of users who has selected themselves as attending that event. You can then utilize that in your campaigns on LinkedIn ads. Similarly to the last one, it'll take about 48 hours, but sometimes longer, and then you just click agree and create. The third type of audience we can use for LinkedIn engagement is going to be for lead generation forms. I'm a big fan of lead gen forms as a different type of call to action to generate leads without having to send somebody directly to your website and expect them to fill out the form there. And because there are multiple ways that you can engage with a form, there are also multiple ways that you can create an engagement audience from those users. The first is going to be the default, is anyone who opened your lead gen form. That includes people who submitted it. And then the other option you have is going to be only people who submitted your lead gen form. Now, compared to Facebook ads, this dropdown is missing an option. Ideally, there would be another one that says people who opened your lead generation forms but did not submit. And while that is a little bit of a sticking point, you can get around it. The reason that I like to use a list that are people who opened the lead gen form but did not submit it is because I want to retarget people as if they had a page visit on my website. Those people have seen your ad, they engaged with it, but they didn't convert. So the way you can get around that would be to create 2 lead gen form audiences. The first would be anybody who opened the lead gen form. The second would be only people who submitted your lead gen form. You would then target the first one, the one that has a check next to it, and then to target only people who did not submit the form, you would exclude people who submitted the lead gen form. So you can get there, it just takes a couple extra steps. For now, I'll just leave it as the default. You can then also determine when they have engaged with your lead gen forms. Same preset options as we had for the first audience that we went through: 30, 60, 90, 180, and 365 days. Now the last part we get to choose is going to be which lead generation form campaigns do you want to create an audience from. Again, this differs from Facebook. On Facebook, you choose which forms you want somebody to have submitted or opened, what have you. But on LinkedIn, it's tied to the campaign level, not the form. So depending on how you have your forms and campaigns structured, you need to be very specific about which campaigns you choose to include in this audience. The only campaigns that will show up in this selector are going to be those that are the lead generation campaign objective, since those are the only ones that use lead forms. Once you've determined which forms you want to retarget based on and which campaigns those forms are active in, you can then just come down here and click agree and create, and it will take up to 48 hours to populate your audience. The next type of retargeting audience is going to be the newest one. I actually just got an email about this in late March of 2022, I believe, maybe early April, that talks about retargeting based on engagement with your single image ads on LinkedIn. In my opinion, this engagement audience has been a long time coming. I'm really happy that LinkedIn has rolled it out so we can start using it in our campaigns. Once you're in the builder, you get to give your audience a name, just like anything else. And then the next section around how did they engage is going to be the part that we'll spend a little bit of time on, because I think it's going to take a little bit of time for people to get used to. The default option is going to be any interactions with your ads. And LinkedIn says that that is anything that is clicking around and engaging with your ad. An impression does not count as an engagement. Just so you know, they have to actively take an action by clicking on some portion of your ad, whether it was a free portion or a chargeable click. And I said chargeable click because that is the other option we have in here. People who performed chargeable clicks on your ads. Now, if you're anything like me, the next natural question is, what all clicks are chargeable clicks on my ad? I don't necessarily know all of the specifics about what is charged and what is not charged. So we're going to visit LinkedIn Help for that. The first page I want you to know about is this one entitled Click Behaviors and Chargeable Clicks for LinkedIn Ads Overview. The reason that this page is important is because it highlights what the chargeable clicks are for each ad objective based on the different campaign objective that you have in place. Each one of these different campaign types has a different set of chargeable clicks available. So depending on which types of audiences you're trying to create campaigns based on and which chargeable clicks you're trying to go after, this will differ if you've been running brand awareness versus lead generation, any of the different types. My guess is that most of us have been running the website conversion campaign type. So let's go ahead and check out what the chargeable clicks are for a website conversion campaign. If you click on any of the campaign objectives that were on the last page that I was showing you, the page will be formatted similarly to this. You'll see the table up at the top with the campaign objective. For right now, we're focusing on website conversions. It'll then break it down by optimization goal, the bidding strategies available, and then how you can be charged. But the part that's most important for this video is going to be the chargeable clicks based on single image and carousel ads. Since we're creating a single image audience on LinkedIn, the only chargeable clicks that are important for us to know for this campaign type are those associated with single image ads. So I'm going to open this up, and here you can see we've got a number of different bullet points available. So the chargeable clicks on a single image or carousel ad include the landing page clicks, so that's on your intro text or headline, and then the call to action click, so any of the call to action button clicks. The non-chargeable clicks down here are to your LinkedIn page or anybody clicking on your company logo up at the top, the social pill or any of the information around the likes and comments associated with your ad, or the social actions themselves. If they click to like on it, to comment, or to share, or any of the hashtags on your ad, none of those are considered chargeable clicks. So depending on what type of audience you want to create for your single image ad engagement list, you need to decide if you want to include only the chargeable clicks, so the landing page and call to action, or if you want to include all of the different actions if somebody engaged with your ad in any way, shape, or form, whether it was driving to your landing page, driving to your LinkedIn company page, or any of the social actions available. With all of the challenges of trying to create cookied audiences of users across different platforms and having third-party tracking used to create website retargeting audiences, I think it's in everybody's best interest to create a people who performed chargeable clicks on your ad audience within your campaign and utilize that as if it were a website retargeting audience of just all page visitors. Since those users should have clicked on the call to action or your landing page itself, these are effectively a substitute for any of those website retargeting audiences. So if for some reason somebody clicked on your ad, went to your website, engaged for a while, left, but didn't get cookied, this audience should help you pick up those users and make sure that they're still part of your retargeting strategy. Just like with the other audiences, you get to decide the date range. They're all going to be the same options as they have been before. The last option is going to be to choose which campaigns you want a single image audience based on. Since the single image ad format is eligible across multiple different campaign objectives, you can group multiple different campaign objectives together in the same audience. Earlier we said that only the lead generation campaigns were going to show up for those lead form engagement audiences. This does not have that limitation. Any of your campaigns that are utilizing single image ads can be eligible. So all you would need to do is check the box next to any of the campaigns that you would want to use, and then you'd come down to click agree and create. The last engagement audience we have eligible on LinkedIn ads is going to be based on your video ads. Once you've given your audience a name, you get to decide a minimum percentage that they've watched of your ad as the engagement step. The default is going to be people who viewed at least 25% of your ad, but you can also choose 50%, 75%, or 97%, basically being a full video view. So any of these different percentages, you can create an audience of people who have watched that amount of your videos. The different date ranges that we have are going to be the exact same as they have been for all the other audiences: 30, 60, 90, 180, and 365 days. And then similar to the single image ads that we just talked about, any campaign objective that has video ad formats available can be eligible for you to create these engagement audiences off of. You can see here that one of the campaigns is named video views and the other is website visits. If these campaigns are utilizing similar videos, or we want to retarget people who've watched 25% of any of our videos, we could just check the box next to both campaigns and we'd be off to the races. But if we do have different video creative, or we have different objectives with the campaigns based on the videos that we have eligible in them, we might want to make sure that we only choose one campaign to create the engagement audience off of. And then for the other one, we would create a separate engagement audience to make sure that we're marketing back to those users who've seen a percentage of our video ads in the correct way. Overall, LinkedIn is a social platform just like any of the other platforms we have available. The goal of LinkedIn is to keep people on the LinkedIn platform. So anything we can do to retarget users based off of the engagement with our brand on that platform is going to be beneficial. Additionally, as I've mentioned a number of times throughout this video, with all of the changes to the tracking rules and privacy laws that we have in online advertising, it's more and more important to rely on these first-party audiences rather than the third-party cookies associated with their retargeting pixels to make sure that we're re-engaging with audiences who have already engaged with us in the first place. Hopefully I've given you a good overview of each of the different engagement types of retargeting on LinkedIn ads, but just like always, if you have any other questions, feel free to leave us a note in the comments below. Thanks for watching our video. If you thought it was useful, give us a thumbs up below.
We release a new video at least once a week, so if you want to get notified of when a new one comes out, be sure to subscribe to the Paid Media Pros channel.